Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the rebooted Reserve Component Retirement Podcast, or as I like to call it, the RC Retirement Podcast. I am David Saunders, your humble host, coming to you almost live from my secret lair somewhere in the frozen tundra of the People's Republic of Michigan. Thank you for joining me. This is episode 1. Today I will be covering a very important topic. I'm not going to jump right into such things as 20-year letters and amounts of pensions and things like that. This is an almost forgotten aspect of retirement that I believe needs to be covered first. Today I'm going to cover, very briefly, the Reserve Component Survivor Benefit Plan. I'm only going to give you the very basics today. In later articles and podcast episodes, I'll go into much more detail. The RC SBP applies to all branches of the reserve components. I mean Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, it doesn't matter. Everyone is eligible to make an election for this once they have achieved 20 good years of service for retirement. The question to ask yourself when you are given the opportunity for this election is this: do you want to pass on part of your retired pay to your spouse or dependents, or both, when you pass away? This is a very simple question for the vast majority of people. There are a few with special circumstances, but I'll cover those later. The SBP, as the law is currently written, allows for a beneficiary to receive 55% of a retiree's retired pay. The SBP has 3 simple options. Don't let anyone try to fool you. Doing an SBP election is one of the simplest things that you can do prior to your retirement. The SBP option is normally sent with the 20-year notice of eligibility, or some call it a 20-year letter. When you receive this letter, normally accompanying it is the SBP election form. I'm not going to go into all the different blocks and whatnot. That gets dry and boring, and that's certainly not what you want to hear. I'll give you a brief rundown on how it works. In essence, you choose the type of coverage you want, the people you want covered, and how much of your pay is to be taken into consideration. That's it. For the type of coverage, there are 3 options: A, B, and C. Option A means you are choosing not to make a decision, or you have no one who can be covered. If you're a single soldier, then there is no one who can be a beneficiary for you, because this is not like SGLI. The recipient of the SBP annuity has to be someone who is an actual dependent or other person who is dependent on you financially and therefore would suffer a loss as a result of losing the retired pay you would have been receiving. Option B allows for the beneficiary to receive 55% of your retired pay when you would have turned 60. I only recommend this option if you are 59 and 364 days old. In practically no other circumstance would I recommend this option. The option that I would recommend for everybody, presuming you have a beneficiary, is option C, which is an immediate annuity. That means if you die, the very next day your beneficiary is eligible for the survivor benefit. That's it for type of coverage. The next selection you make is for who is to be covered. Again, these are some very simple options. The options available are spouse, spouse and children, children only, and for certain divorced soldiers, based on the terms of your divorce decree, it could also be former spouse and former children. Let me clarify. You can't cover both. It's one spouse and children or the former spouse and children, not both. In certain rare instances, a soldier can elect an insurable interest. Let's say you are a single soldier who has a dependent parent. In this case, and only in certain rare instances like this, can one choose an insurable interest. In all other cases, if you have a spouse or you have children, then the former options are the only ones you have available. only for someone who has no direct family, a spouse or children, and only if the person being selected has a vested financial interest in you, like a business partner or, like I said, a dependent parent, can you choose insurable interest. When making your SBP election, leave insurable interest blank in 98% of circumstances. If you have a question, your retirement counselor can give you the information you need to make the right election. If you don't have a retirement counselor nearby, do not make an insurable interest election without proper counseling. If I've just described your unique situation, just wait until I mention on where to send the completed document. There will also be information there as far as where you can get information you need to make the proper election. The last option for SBP, the third and final choice you have to make, is how much of your retired pay is to be taken into account when determining the 55% annuity. Most of the time, people will choose full retired pay. In certain circumstances, like senior level, 07 and up, type officers, would a reduced amount of retired pay be remotely considered. So you can choose the level of coverage based on the amount of retired pay you are receiving, who gets covered, and when they are covered. After that, all you have to do is sign the document, and you're done. That's it for your SBP election. After that, the decision is permanent. Only after life-changing events can an SBP election be changed. That would be death of a spouse, death of a child, divorce, marriage, etc. Only in situations like that can you change an SBP election. From the date of the events, birth, marriage, death, things of that nature, you have 1 year to make a change to your SBP, and from then on, it's considered permanent. For you married servicemen and women out there, I will add one little proviso. When making the coverage elections, if you are married or have children, if you make an election other than what would be most beneficial for the beneficiary, which would mean, let's say you're married, option C for immediate annuity, full retired pay, and spouse coverage. If you make an election other than that, the spouse must concur with your election and sign the election certificate as well. If you choose that most beneficial election I've just described, you are the only one who has to sign. Once you've completed these simple steps, all you have to do is keep an original of that form for yourself, send another original, because original ink is required for all of these, strangely enough, and send it to the retirement counselor of your particular service. If you are in the National Guard, that means the retirement points accounting manager in your state. And if you are in any other reserve component, it's amazingly simple. The list of recipients is on the front page of the election form. So for you Navy servicemen out there, you would send a copy to the Navy Personnel Command. For the Marine Corps, to the Headquarters United States Marine Corps, etc. It's just that simple. From then on, even if you continue your service for another 20 years, should you die prior to receiving retired pay, assuming you chose immediate annuity, your beneficiaries are covered and will receive 55% of your retired pay, even if you do not live long enough to receive it yourself. There is a cost associated with the SBP. However, it is not something that you pay until receiving your retired pay. Only then are the premiums for SBP deducted from your pay. I'll go into the formula for that later on. It's a very simple percentage and well worth it. There are some who think that choosing not to make an election or to have their beneficiary covered at the age they would have turned 60 is a way to save money. However, what they're not seeing is this keeps the benefit of this plan out of the hands of their beneficiaries for what could be 20, 30 years. I never recommend to any potential retiree choosing something other than the immediate annuity. In fact, In only one circumstance have I ever seen a legitimate case in which choosing option B for receiving the annuity at the age the soldier would have turned 60 made any sense. In this case, the soldier and his wife had several high-value life insurance plans on each other, and the SBP annuity would have been virtually insignificant by comparison to the value of those plans. In any other situation, a couple of $100 a month would always help your family. Don't take that away from them. That's essentially it for my introduction to the Survivor Benefit Plan. In the next episode, I'll go a little more in depth about other factors of the plan, just so you have that much more information at your fingertips. Thank you for tuning in to the RC Retirement Podcast. I hope you'll join me for the next episode, and as always, thank you for listening.